Hey, everybody, welcome back to the SCB Steelers Podcast, presented by Deck Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And it's the off season. Well, at least for 30 teams. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles are getting prepared for Super Bowl 57 to be played in the desert. Believe it or not, there actually will be a football game. You wouldn't think so because of all the hype that goes around the commercials, the pregame hoopla, the halftime show, and everything else. But they do find time to actually fit a football game in. And excited to see that when it gets to that. But you're not here for that.
It's the off season for Ben, too, apparently. He's being a little bitch and not showing up on time for the show.
Yeah, well, he had a meeting that ran long. And, of course, the dog has to take a squirt. And, these things happen. So I suspect we'll see him about the next 3 to 4 minutes, would be my guess. He'll come flying in, something like that. And then he'll probably have technical difficulties, too, which would perfectly fit. Welcome to Joe. Joe, one of our regulars, is in. And good to see him. And good to see everybody. And hope everybody's staying warm out there. We got a bit of a polar vortex type thing creeping across the country, depending upon where you are. I know some of our friends down there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area basically been going to work and school on ice skates. So be careful out there, kids. And hello, Aaron. Aaron jumped on. Welcome, Aaron. And Aaron, I think he's going to a big autograph thing. He was telling me a bunch of Buckeyes are going to be there. Kenny Pickett's going to be there. So
Buckeyes can give out autographs now without
well played, Ian.
Looking back on that, that was bullshit what they did to Terrell Pryor and even Reggie Bush, all those guys. Like it.
Oh yeah.
It's the same thing as how the NFL, not even 10 years ago told Tony Romo he couldn't have a fantasy football convention in Vegas.
Yeah.
And now you got Ron Torbert's kid putting $100K on the Chiefs money line, or I don't know what that's
right.
But I didn't know if that was true or not, but I guess the head referee's kid did place a pretty large wager on the Chiefs money line. And
I don't know what the end game is with the gambling, but they're all in. They're all in.
I love it.
And it's amazing how different it is from the past, where you wouldn't even talk about gambling. I mean, the first thing you see when you go into an NFL locker room, you used to see the sign right there, gambling, you can't do it, blah, 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 which I'm sure it's still there because the players aren't supposed to do it. But my goodness. Anyway, we do expect Ben to be jumping on here momentarily. But I had a thought today, and we'll get to stuff.
Dangerous.
Very, very. Tomlin's down there at the Senior Bowl, and he's doing Tomlin things. He's all over the place, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Pat Freiermuth's comments on Big Ben's podcast, and by the way, Ben, anytime you want to come on this podcast, you're more than welcome to, buddy. You're doing a nice job, but if you need some pointers, we've been doing this quite a while, so I'd be happy to help you out. Anyway,
Ben gets free beer on his podcast too. What's up with that?
What is it now?
Ben gets free beer. They're like breweries send him beer to sample and test their beer on the show.
Well, clearly, he's way more important than we are.
I don't know why.
I don't either. It's truly awful. I've been subtly pinching the fine folks at Bradshaw Bourbon. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but they're like, when do you enjoy Bradshaw Bourbon? And I'll be like, type in when I'm hosting the podcast, thinking that, maybe they'll hit me up, and crickets. Absolute crickets. Yeah, we can't even get anybody to send us some irons or anything like that. So, oh well, what the hell. Anyway, here's the question I had today. I'm going to give you a scenario, and I've already written this down. I did this in the pregame. I'm just going to kind of flash it real quick that it's there, so I'm not cheating. Let's just say that the Steelers in free agency are able to retain the services of Cam Sutton, Terrell Edmunds, Bobby Spillane, okay, which we all think is probably going to happen anyway. All right.
They don't need Spillane, but they're going to. Yes,
absolutely. Well, and right now, I mean, you're looking at Mark Robinson, who's still very much unproven, and Miles Jack, when he's healthy, he's been pretty good. Okay. My question for you guys is, and Ryan, we'll start with you. If those things happen, the Steelers, of course, have 3 picks in the top 49, I think it is. Mm-hmm. What positions will those 3 picks be?
I don't know how, and I know not all defensive linemen are 300 pounds, but I hope that the first 2 picks are at least 300 pounds. Preferably one on offensive line, one on the defensive line. And then that 3rd pick, I think that's ultimately going to be one that they're going to need to see how free agency shakes out. I just want to be candid. I do not want to see them draft a wide receiver at 17 or 32. And I would say, again, O-line, D-line, and then I think at that 3rd pick, I would just go with athlete.
Okay.
And because that's the other thing too, and we could talk about this later, but I think that there's going to be so much turnover that special teams is going to be even more important. I think you're going to see a lot of different guys on special teams. So when I say athlete, I mean somebody that's probably going to end up playing on teams most of that first year. And I think that's something they need to think
of. And they need to improve it. Most of the special teams rankings were not favorable to the Steelers this year. Ian, so same question. The Steelers retain the services of Edmunds, of Spillane, and of Cam Sutton. Your first 3 picks would be?
I mean, if it was me, I'm going offensive line, defensive line, and then either probably still inside linebacker or corner. That said, depending on what happens with Zach Gentry, this is a really deep draft for tight ends. And there's some really there's probably 4 or 5 tight ends at the top of this draft. And never are there more than 2 tight ends picked in the first round. So I would not be stunned if they don't re-sign Gentry and somebody, one of those guys is sitting there at 49 and they're like, well, hey, we could run some 2 tight end sets and let's see what happens. I mean, would I do it? No. But would the Steelers do it? Maybe.
Right. Now, this is exactly why I thought of this question today, because of the there was a couple real solid ones in those first couple selections, and then my mind started to drift around based on what was going to happen in free agency. So we welcome Ben into the show.
Finally.
And tardy as always. Thank you very much. And Ben, the question is, first a statement. The Steelers in free agency will retain the services of Bobby Spillane, Cam Sutton, Terrell Edmunds. All right. What positions do they then draft with those first 3 picks, in your opinion?
Do they sign DeMonte KZ?
Maybe.
I'll say yes.
Well, then not a safety.
Right.
Otherwise, yeah, maybe. I mean, a versatile safety in there would be something that they would look at. I agree with Ian. I caught the end of what he was talking about in terms of availability.
I said O-line, D-line, and then I said still for me it would be inside linebacker or cornerback, but don't be shocked if they don't re-sign Gentry, if tight end is in the mix too.
Well, even if they do re-sign Gentry, again, if there's a value pick there, who is just too good to pass up. Remember the year they took Juju in the second round? We didn't think they were going to go wide receiver that year.
True.
The value was just too high.
He was their highest ranked receiver on their board that year.
Yeah.
They had a first round grading the guy. He was available in the second round. They went, yeah, he's still here. We're taking him.
Yeah.
If something like that happens, in the middle of the second round, at the top of the first round when they pick at 32, a luxury pick is a possibility. So, that being the case, maybe you do take a tight end. I hope they don't take a skill position there. I would prefer they went offensive line, defensive line, inside linebacker, corner. Yes, all those things. Maybe a nifty slot corner, so you can just leave Cam Sutton outside. A punter. Yeah, that's what they need in the second round. Good idea.
Don't you think we'd have too many tight ends?
If they re-sign Gentry, yeah.
I think
they
they're
don't,
absolutely going to, right? I mean,
no.
But you guys don't
You don't
really
think?
view Hayward as a true tight end, though, do you?
Gentry
don't.
Gentry, no, neither do I. I see him as an H-back.
Yeah.
Gentry was unsure of his future when he left. He made that clear. He wasn't sure if he was coming back or not.
Okay.
So if he doesn't know,
him.
no, I'm not saying they won't. I'm saying if he doesn't know, then he doesn't know. So they didn't give me the indication. We definitely want you to come back.
Yeah.
I think with Gentry, they may let him test the waters and be like, hey, give us a call. We're interested, like they've done with other guys, right?
Yeah.
That, hey, we're interested in having you back, but we'll let you test the waters, see if you can get something. Let us know what you get. If we're willing to match it, we'll let you know. If we're not, best wishes to you. Thanks for your service. And they've done that with a lot of other guys. Big Ben's Burns, right, though, that Gentry, it's on this side. Gentry's not going to be that expensive, but I think they let him test the waters and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's what happens too, and this is exactly what I was thinking about today when I thought of this scenario. Is number one, I was with all of you, offensive/defensive line, and not necessarily in that order in those first two picks, and then probably cornerback with that third pick. But I can't close the door on inside linebacker. And Ian, just as you pointed out, the tight end is what popped into my head very late. If Gentry doesn't resign, now all of a sudden you got a need there. Two reasons. One, Freiermuth, terrific receiver. I'm okay with blocking, but it can be better. And then the concussion issue that he's had in his first two seasons too. So I think that becomes a possibility. So, but I think Ben's point is a great one too, that whole best player thing, that if we got a guy that's rated highly, then yeah, you take a swing on it. So yeah, anyway, that was all the thinking I could do for today. My brain immediately,
I know people aren't going to want to hear this, but they might go wide receiver.
Oh, I know. I mean,
they need a versatile wide receiver who can play slot and can play outside. And in a perfect world, if that guy was available at 32, they'd take him.
So here's a question for you.
I'm actually good, Ian.
Yeah. Speaking of that 32 pick, and we've seen this happen with other teams before. The Steelers haven't really been in this position, but do you think they try and trade up just a couple spots to get back into the first round? Because the value of that is you get the 5th-year option on the contract, right? So if there's a guy who's there at 27, 28, 29, right? You trade away a late round pick, move up a spot or two, but you gain that 5th-year option for it.
Which is huge. It really is.
And you do kind of see some. I know people tend to tune out the last couple picks of the first round of the draft because it's always midnight and everyone's like, this is over, whatever.
Yeah.
But there has been a lot of trades in those last 3 or 4 picks of the first round because teams want to move up to get that 5th-year option on somebody.
See, and the thing I was actually going to mention, Ian, was just the opposite, because so often you come into the draft on Friday evening, to start the round. And there's been a trade made, and it seems like it's always that very first team selecting on the second night. And I just wondered, considering the needs that we have, do you trade down? But you're absolutely right about that 5th-year option, man. That is huge. Just to be able to slide up one pick to get into that scenario would be.
It depends on how old the player is.
Yeah, that's true too. Man, there's a lot of old players in this draft.
There are some quarterbacks that are already like 25.
There's who was I looking at today? The kid from USC, Voorhees. He's already 24. Offensive guard.
Jason?
Some of these guys
Although
got an
speaking
extra
of old
year
players,
of eligibility because of COVID.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of old players, though, remember when Landon Dickerson came out? We were like, he's injury prone. He's old. We're not sure about him. Now he's turned into one of the best guards in the league and is in the Super Bowl. Like,
I know it.
But I mean, we weren't wrong in our analysis. He had injury issues. He was coming off a serious injury. He didn't play at all his last year, and he was old. But he's looked really damn good for Philadelphia too.
Since we're talking about free agency anyway.
Yeah.
Taylor Lewan.
Oh gosh,
has been a topic of discussion on the Twitter this week, and whether or not Steelers fans
podcast had
him on, and they're trying to hype the fact that the Steelers fans want him. I have yet to talk to a Steelers fan who actually does want the guy, but just in case we have any viewers / listeners that actually do want Taylor Lewan, who at one point was a very good offensive tackle, let's do the 50,000-foot overview here. The guy has had 2 ACL surgeries in the past 3 years. He spit in TJ Watt's face and called him a motherfucker once.
And kicked him in the balls.
Allegedly. That part has been disputed.
Lewan said he did it on Twitter.
Well, he said he kicked him. He didn't know if he got him in the balls.
No, he said he kicked him in the balls.
Oh, did he? Okay,
he
whatever.
said, so I spit in your face and kicked you in the balls. Let's bury the hatchet.
Somewhere in the cockles.
Fuck that guy. Again, 2 ACL surgeries past 3 seasons. Missed 30 starts in the past 3 seasons.
Yes, out of 50 possible games, he's played 20.
$10 to $12 million on a 1-year deal. The Steelers aren't going to sign him anyway. The Steelers aren't signing him. I'll just tell you guys, it's not going to happen regardless.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? Just because everybody on social media wants to sign their favorite free agent, that it's not going to happen?
He's not going to get signed by the Steelers. But more to the point, if you want him, you're fucking stupid.
Yes, and I'm going to tell you the other thing that I thought was he's so thirsty. He was like, TJ, come on, man. It's bigger than what happened between us.
Whatever.
Like, how fucking desperate are you, dude? I mean, I know that, okay, that's the other thing too, is I know the Steelers name means a lot more than their success has the past couple years.
Right.
But I probably would rather go to a team that's maybe in a little bit better shape to compete. I don't know. But he just sounded so desperate. What? I mean, good for him. He obviously wants to get another, but I look at it as he wants to get another, that final
Yes, he
contract.
does.
He wants
one more deal.
Contract. He wants some guaranteed jingle. And he probably looked at the cap space. And was like, I can play for the black and gold. I mean, they kicked my ass every time. I
don't know if you guys saw him. He's a Michigan grad, and he was at the semifinal game, and he was doing some media stuff. And I think that's what he's headed for. He wants to be a part of the media, like so many of these guys. And my feeling is just get him off to that sooner rather than later, because I want nothing to do with him in Pittsburgh. Not at the price he wants. Not considering, as Ben pointed out, the injuries.
I don't think he's getting 10 or 12 million on a 1-year deal.
There's no way.
If he's holding out for that, he's going to be holding out until.
Yeah.
He was also suspended for 4 games for PEDs. So, good stuff, man.
I did.
Because I'm $1 million athlete and I don't know what I'm putting in my body.
Yeah.
Wasn't he already out injured when he got suspended?
Yeah, I think
so. Basically, he just lost four game checks.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
I thought he was playing though, because
I don't.
Because he got a little emotional when he talked about it. I thought he was playing at that time. Yeah, whatever.
And the video
it's all
he
right.
posted on Twitter was wearing a midnight toker hat. And while I respect Steve Miller's body of work, last I checked, marijuana is still a suspendable offense in the NFL. So even though, but
I mean, it's not like the Steelers have had problems with players smoking weed and
no, none whatsoever.
I mean, it so happened to be when I was there, but whatever.
Burner did ask a very important question a moment ago in terms of what we are drinking this evening. Mr. Scarpino, what are you enjoying tonight?
You know what? I
prepare to be disappointed.
I buckled. Oh, you know what? Keep it up, smart ass.
I went with me.
Oh, sorry. My bad. Sorry. Dash.
I was with you, Scarp.
I wanted to be more sophisticated. And I got tired of people making fun of me for drinking $10 bottle of vodka. So now I have some of the Redemption bourbon. I'm sophisticated AF, and I got my little pottery. I don't even know what it's called, but somebody got it for me for Christmas, and it's nice and cool. I got some ice cubes with some bourbon. We're doing pretty good.
Good choice.
He made it with Demi Moore on that spinning wheel.
Oh, God bless America.
Oh, boy, you ain't kidding. Ian, what are you drinking?
So actually, Burner will probably be proud of me tonight. I'm drinking tequila.
Oh, yes. God.
Tequila, yeah.
It's like a margarita, though. That's not really tequila.
Well, okay. So we made like enchiladas tonight and put pineapple in them, but we had like leftover pineapple juice. So I mixed the leftover pineapple juice with the tequila. So it's like a margarita.
God.
It's delicious.
Wow.
It's fucking horrible.
Wow.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's delicious.
It is really good.
Ben's having flashbacks to pineapple
you
on
guys
pizza.
are fucking high. Jesus. No, I'm not talking about pizza. Pineapple juice and tequila? What the fuck is wrong with you? Oh, my God.
See,
Ben, what's Ben drinking?
Ben is on the wagon until Super Bowl. Yeah. Ben overconsumed in Mexico. Big time.
Oh.
Hey, man.
Well, hey.
Respect. I don't drink on the show all the time. That's respect.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm
to write this down. This might be a first time.
My liver needs a break.
I get it. I am enjoying. I have a little bit of my Jameson IPA edition left.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to polish that off this evening before I switch over to a Bell's Two Hearted at some point. Anyway, but hope everybody's enjoying something at the very least. Gentlemen, Pat Freiermuth, the tight end of the Pittsburgh Steelers, made a visit to the Ben Roethlisberger show. I believe he calls it footballin'. Okay, I admit he's got a pretty good show going. I mean, it's got some work it needs.
It might even be as good as ours.
It's close. It's close. I mean, as Ian pointed out, he does get beers sent to him. We have not yet achieved that particular goal yet.
Mr. Bradshaw.
I know. I've reached out. Believe me. Anyway, Mr. Freiermuth mentioned that the offense run by one Mr. Matt Canada did not feature any hot routes this year. There were no hot reads, hot routes, whatever you want. So, Ian, what do you make of Pat's comments?
I am so glad you called on me first. So I owe an apology to Kenny Pickett because I said on this show that I didn't think Kenny Pickett could diagnose a blitz, but it turns out maybe it's just that they don't have hot routes or audible calls or whatever else.
He did do some audibles late in the season, but
yeah, so maybe it's not that he can't diagnose a blitz and was getting killed. Maybe it's that doesn't exist in the offense. So I apologize to Kenny for throwing him under the bus when apparently it was Matt Canada's fault. And that's absolutely insane. No NFL quarterback, I don't care if it's a rookie or a veteran. I mean, they can say all they want. Oh, well, we started the season with one guy and finished with another guy, and that transition was kind of difficult. We had to learn, whatever Art said in his, presser a couple weeks ago.
Right.
But I mean, if you're starting the season with Mitch Trubisky, who's a veteran quarterback, you think he can A, diagnose a blitz and B, call a hot read. So you should probably have those calls in your offense. And then, if you're confident enough in Kenny Pickett to put him in at quarterback, he should probably like be able to make an audible or a hot read to be like, hey, block this guy instead of that guy, or something. So yeah, it's a systematic failure on the part of the offense to not have those calls.
Does
so what you're trying to say, I think, in short, and I'll condense it.
Yeah.
Maybe the running game, things improved. It seemed like our coordinator was scheming a better game. His passing concepts suck.
Yep.
Yes.
No argument. But is it possible that along with the lack of hots, maybe they weren't confident in the line getting the adjustments right in terms of protection? Is that possible?
The line seemed to be getting better at picking up blitzes as
the season went
along.
Right.
I don't know that I necessarily believe that was the case.
I think the real struggle with blitzes off the edge, with like corners and safeties coming off the edge. And that's where, like, if a corner's coming on a slot blitz, you need that hot read to be like, hey, don't run an 8-yard route if your guy's blitzing, run a 3-yard curl and I'll get you the ball.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or run a fucking slant.
Yeah. Even better. I love slant routes.
Run a slant right behind the linebacker. Fine. Here you go.
Yeah. But what is this? What does this say, though? Does it say more about Matt Canada? Is it more about Mike Tomlin? Is it more about Kenny Pickett?
It's about Canada. It's that Canada sucks and is running a high school offense.
Okay.
I know I've been critical of Pickett, but also, I've also was critical of Mitch. And like, I sit there and think like, maybe Trubisky's comments about like not signing with the Steelers so quickly in free agency wasn't about that Kenny ultimately took the job or that they drafted Kenny. Maybe it's because he got there and was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, this is what we're doing. Like, this is what we're doing. And he
needed to be someplace where he could better showcase his abilities.
And if they told both quarterbacks, if there was no hot, and I'm not gonna, if Muth said it about Kenny, I'm just gonna assume that it was the same thing with Mitch. But like, if they have no hots and they're basically, telling them, just play it safe, don't turn the ball over. That's like, you can't tell a guy like Mitch Trubisky that. Like, that's just automatically gonna fuck with them. So bottom line, it just even baffles me more that they fucking brought this guy back. And that whole excuse of oh, well, he was already under contract. Listen, man, fucking pay that guy to go away. That's sometimes you just got to cut your losses. And they've done that many times with players. And I talked about some of the shows. Joe Schobert was one of them. That dude made a lot of money and they said, thank you, man. See you fucking later. Like,
was he even in the league this year?
I think he was on like a practice squad for maybe the Broncos or Titans.
Okay.
Or something. Maybe he even played in the game. But the bottom line is, it makes it even more fucking mind-boggling. They brought Matt Canada back. And meanwhile, the Cowboys get rid of Kellen Moore, which blows my mind because that dude had Cooper Rush playing like a fucking all-pro. And then you think Justin Herbert got that text that was like, Kellen Moore, sweet.
I think Kellen Moore had a job in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Before he got fired.
And that's fine.
It was definitely lined up.
I really do. It was like the next day. He's like, yeah, he's moving on to Los Angeles as the new OC.
I'll tell you this.
The guy was a bad OC. They made him the sacrificial lamb, the scapegoat for Dak's inefficiency, for his inability to play well.
And that's Justin Herbert's good for Justin Herbert. But I actually was told that Justin Herbert texted Kellen Moore back and said, are you sure we can't get Matt Canada?
Sure he did. I'm
serious though. I'm fucking dead serious. How can you justify that? And you know what? I bet, and I'm telling you, and we'll talk about this later in our long distance dedication. I'm sure when Steelers brass heard what Pat Freiermuth said, they weren't too happy about that. But you know what?
Our team was probably like, oh fuck.
I've got one more thought on that.
I bet you it was more than that.
But first, just a reminder, we are part of the Pigskin Podcast Network, and more than happy to be part of the family associated with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TPPN. New customers can bet $5 on Super Bowl 57 and get 200 in free bets instantly only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code TPPN. I think I saw the Eagles are a 2.5-point favorite as of right now. I think that's what I saw.
That line's moved quite a bit because didn't the Chiefs open as the favorite, and then
Did they? I thought I saw Eagles 2.5 just the other day, but
I think it's moved around.
Yeah,
with I think the Chiefs were the early favorite.
Yeah, once some of the injury stuff. I think McCole Hardman. I think they said he's not going to be able to go, and so not that he's a big influence on that. But,
Mark, do you mean to tell me that you can't bet on the Pro Bowl dodgeball game?
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Man, what the hell was that in the water balloon toss today? I was like, this is being televised. Are you guys shitting me? This is real.
Did you see?
Actually, I'd rather watch them play dodgeball with each other than actually pretend to play football. Watching the Pro Bowl the last few years of
it's gotten just atrocious.
Brutal. I'd rather watch them.
The whole thing is just dumber than shit now. And then honestly, yeah, what they've done now is they've gone ahead and embraced the dumb.
Yes.
Well, it's fucking stupid anyway.
Well,
let's make it as ridiculous as possible.
Yeah. Ben, I know you'll remember this.
Give them paintball guns. Let them play paintball with each other.
Right? That would actually be fun.
Remember the Battle of the Network Stars?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's really what they should just do. Just here.
Although, I mean, that's where some guy would tear his ACL.
Well, but I'm telling you right now, this little flag football thing, I'm terrified of it for somebody. I go back to Robert Edwards, the kid that had the great season with the Patriots many, many years ago. They go out and he's in some rookie football game and he blows his knee out, and that was it.
On the beach.
Yeah, it was on the beach.
Places blew his knee out.
Yep. And
that kind of a surface, you should be fine on the beach.
I just don't. I don't even want to watch because I'm afraid that's what's going to happen. But I mean, I agree with Ian that I like some of these quirky things they're having them do. I thought it was funny. Apparently, social media is saying that Derek Carr was really good tonight at whatever he was doing. I found that funny.
Ryan Clark interviewed him and said, "Have you ever been that hot in Vegas before?" And he goes, Carr was like, "Yeah, I've never been that hot. Maybe that's why they got rid of me."
Good for him.
I know.
He's got a sense of humor.
Yeah, I know.
Probably.
All right.
Hey, I know you guys are not pineapple on pizza guys.
Oh, for God's sake.
No.
Right?
No.
We all agree on this.
Yeah.
No, it's not a first choice, but I will eat pineapple on pizza.
Okay, that's a fucking sacrilege, but all right, whatever. I don't have to eat it, so I don't give a shit.
Not with red sauce, though.
Not with red sauce?
Yeah, you ever have a Hawaiian pizza? It's got a barbecue base, multiple cheeses, and then it's got ham and bacon and pineapple on top.
I've eaten this, yes.
Good.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I admit I've had it. I'm not a fan of it, but I've had it. Anyway,
how do you guys feel about what's your feeling on wings as far as ranch or blue cheese?
I've always been a ranch guy.
Figures.
Yep. Always.
I don't like blue cheese generally, so I'm just not a blue cheese fan. That said, my go-to
those are both basic
order.
Bitch answers, but okay, I'm fine with that.
God.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
I'll let you think, Ryan. I'll fill time.
I got it. I just didn't want to cut you off.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say there used to be this bar near where we lived in Dormont that had 50-cent full 3-piece wings after 10 o'clock, which was awesome. They don't do it anymore, but you get them dry rubbed and then have them mix barbecue sauce and hot sauce together to dip them in, and that was incredible.
Oh.
So that's a neither ranch nor blue cheese.
That's good.
Dry rub the wings and dip them in a mixture
awesome.
of barbecue and hot sauce. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Ryan.
Listen, I'll be a wing snob, but I've always said, if you can make a wing sauce that doesn't need a dipper, that you've won me over. That being said, I have I've gone back and forth on this for many, many years, and without a doubt, blue cheese is better on wings.
I agree.
Especially
100%.
especially like if you get just a mild buffalo sauce,
Yeah.
blue cheese, and you know what? Give me that big old fat chunk of cheese in there too, and I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna cut it up.
Yeah, you lost me there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going.
That moldy shit, I'm not for it.
Well,
Right.
you guys are, like I said,
Yeah.
basic, bland.
I've had blue
Love it.
cheese. I'm just not a fan.
I'm sure you guys are big fans of mayonnaise too, and that's fine. Whatever whatever.
Duke's mayo. I prefer Duke's mayo.
Yeah.
Much better.
Okay.
Dude, I love blue cheese. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know what? Judge away. This is a judgment-free zone. Planet
This
I
is
love
a very
blue cheese,
judgy
too.
zone. Yeah. Anyway,
Aaron just called you out. He
Mike,
said, you'll eat blue cheese, but not pineapple. I agree, Aaron.
we need to have like
Goddamn right,
Gordon
Aaron.
Ramsay on here. We've turned it into a food fucking show. Anyway, Mike Tomlin and many of the Pittsburgh Steelers staff are down there in Mobile, Alabama at the Reese's Senior Bowl. And not surprisingly, Mike has been very active and very, very vocal with some of the young men that are down there. And it's always fun to see. Ben, I'll throw this one to you first. Has he tipped his hand at all with the amount of time he spent watching the offensive line?
Tomlin
and
always
defensive
tips
line?
his fucking hand every fucking year.
There
I don't
we
think he
go.
even cares. I don't think he cares. And
No.
and we used to think he was trying to pull some fucking sleight of hand. The last few years, he just doesn't even care. I mean, he made it obvious last year they were taking a quarterback. He's been looking at offensive and defensive linemen primarily, and he'll walk up in the huddle and get a look at him close. This is how obvious he's making it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think
he's looking at the big guys. And God bless him because we need him.
No, that's right, and I'm excited about it. I mean, you got to win in this league with O-line, D-line, and I really hope that's where this is headed. And man, there are some dudes down there. I mean, you don't traditionally see the top guys at the Senior Bowl, but you've got DeJuan Jones, the mountain of a man, 6'8", 360 pounds, tackle from Ohio State. Then you got Paris Johnson, the other tackle from Ohio State, sitting over there. There's some really solid guard play going on. Centers seem to be pretty weak in this draft. And I don't know that he's necessarily looking at that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mason Cole is fine. He's not going to be a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro.
Right.
He was fine. I guess the one thing I've been thinking about, though, is if you draft a guy who can play center or go out in free agency and sign a center, can you move Cole to guard and have him at least challenge Kevin Dotson?
I don't know the answer to that. I know Cole played primarily center, if I remember, at Michigan. I don't remember playing guard, but it wouldn't surprise me. Harbaugh's big on versatility on the offensive line, so I would guess he probably got some snaps there.
Yeah.
But I'm just not sure. Jennifer, to answer your question about Flores, he's continued to have some interviews, but as of right now, he's still with the Steelers.
And he and Tomlin have a good relationship.
They do.
Even if he does end up leaving the team, they'll continue to they'll stay in contact. And
yeah, I mean, Sean Payton in Denver now, DeMeco Ryans in Houston. So what do you have left? Indy and Arizona.
And reports are Kyler Murray might not be back till mid-season. I mean, I wouldn't risk Arizona and Indy.
I'll be honest, man. I wouldn't want to go any place where Kyler Murray was the franchise.
No, I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I wouldn't want that job.
He's too busy playing Call of Duty.
If Flores is smart, he holds out for the Chargers job when Staley gets fired after next year.
Yeah.
Gonna be a lot of talent on that team.
Yeah.
But so he is down there. He's doing his thing for the Steelers right now. But there's some really intriguing defensive line guys. This kid out of Bowling Green, Carl Brooks, really athletic. Was one of the top in the nation in terms of pressures and also really good against the run. And there's receivers always get a lot of attention down here, and there's some guys doing that down there as well.
There are some really good receivers in this class. Like,
yeah,
really good. And we were talking about this 5-6 years ago to begin with.
Yeah,
where it's just like receiver is going to become a more and more fungible position.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. None of them are Jamar Chase. Okay. But they're really good, sudden receivers who are good route runners and are coming out more and more polished every year. And it makes guys who are that kind of, mid-tier wide receiver expendable.
Right.
And it brings the price on those guys down, which I guess is good news for the Steelers, because the Steelers really need to sign a veteran wide receiver, in my opinion, just to add some leadership to that team, to that unit, excuse me.
No, I'm totally on board with that. Maybe Tomlin's looking at that. I'm not sure. Jennifer mentioned Keanu Benton from Wisconsin. He's been really good. I think they said he's been one of the top two.
He's ridiculous.
And he's won every battle he's had. Yeah.
He's beating the shit out of the kid from Michigan, the Remington Award winner. I mean, he's beating him like a drum. And that's not good, because that kid was thought to be one of the top centers coming out. So, a Benton would be a fun kid to bring along. That's for sure.
I don't know that he's going to be there at 17, but it would be really nice if he were.
I got a name. I got a name, not at the Senior Bowl, but real quick thing about the Senior Bowl. I am a Tomlin supporter, but I also think he's fallen short. But if you ever question like that dude's love for the game, like just watch him as he's at all these things, as he's all these senior games, or the combine, etc. Like, he just lives and breathes and like loves this shit. So like, if you ever question like does he want to win or whatever, take a step back. Of course, we all want him to be better, but anyway. But my second thing is, I completely agree with you about, and I've said this so many times, the Steelers need a Darius Hayward-Bay or a Jericho Cotchery in that room. Yeah. And I just double checked to see this, but a name, and I don't know if they're going to try to bring it back, but a name that immediately popped into my mind was Marvin Jones Jr. He didn't catch a lot of balls in Jacksonville this year, but I think he's 32.
Mm-hmm.
He's been with the Lions. Ian, why are you chuckling at me? I see you.
Go ahead, finish your thought.
No, I'm saying that, like, I mean, you could probably get him for nothing. I don't know. Just saying.
No, he was great for the Lions. I mean, I know a lot of people were upset that he left.
So that's even like,
I feel like Marvin Jones has one game every year where he puts up like 150 yards and 3 touchdowns, and then does like nothing the entire rest of the year.
There's some truth.
Hey, man, I'd take that.
I know, but like it's funny for.
Marcus Wheaton was like that.
I know Ben doesn't play fantasy football, but like he's done that in like the first couple weeks of the year often. And when you like are playing fantasy football and you're like, oh, who can I pick up on the waiver wire? And you're like, oh shit, Marvin Jones has these good stats. And then you realize it's all in one game, and he doesn't do anything the entire rest of the year. Yeah, that's why I'm chuckling.
You know who else is a free agent? Then you've been banging that drum. Jamison Crowder's a free agent.
I love Jamison Crowder, man.
Yeah.
Is a slot receiver, and
Anthony Claude. Yes, Anthony Miller is that guy. And I'm saying that as sarcastic as possible.
I've had people try to tell me that Miles Boykin is the Darius Hayward-Bay. And I'm like, no.
I like a lot of what Boykin does.
I do like Boykin's special team.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm a fan. But he doesn't. I don't think he doesn't command enough respect.
Yeah, he doesn't have that veteran leadership quality.
And basically, I mean, look at the guy. He at one point he was a highly thought of prospect,
right?
Who panned out to nothing. They have Anthony Miller on the team. Okay,
Anthony was what, in Chicago?
Yeah, Anthony.
You know who else
has done nothing?
Yeah.
You know who else is a free agent? Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. I was waiting for somebody to talk about it.
I mean, I don't see Juju coming back because he's played in this offense for a couple of years,
Yeah.
and he.
I was about as sarcastic as Anthony Miller is the next Steelers
You
great
know,
wide receiver. So
Yeah, I don't know, man. He seemed like he was pretty happy to be gone, and he actually seemed like he was even happy for Chase Claypool to be getting out. Like he was congratulating Chase for being out of Pittsburgh and going into an even shittier offense.
if the Chiefs win this game,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if Juju doesn't play football ever again.
Wow.
Really?
Huh.
He doesn't need to. He won a championship. He's still young. He's still got everything.
Yeah.
He already had a major injury to his shoulder.
Yeah.
He's about as marketable as can be.
Interesting. I guess I hadn't thought about it that way.
Guys walk away from the game a lot sooner now than
They do. They
used to.
Big Ben's burning with a haymaker here.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of burner, he posted something earlier about Kevin Dotson's days being numbered.
Yeah.
I really hope that Dotson gets his shit together and pans out and turns into that lineman we thought he was going to be once. I don't know if he will. If last season is an indication, he won't. But when he came out initially, everyone had high hopes for that guy and thought he had great potential. Just hasn't turned it into, anything tangible really since.
Injuries. He's constantly dinged. Ankle here, ankle there. I mean, it just he never can seem to, stay healthy, and I think that's a big part of it.
I mean, but it seemed like there were communication issues between he and Dan Moore last year.
Yeah,
and Mason Cole, somebody standing in the fucking A gap comes in unblocked.
Right.
I mean, the guy was in the A gap, man. For fuck's sake.
The guy whose days are numbered is Kendrick Green.
Oh my God!
What a horrible pick.
Yeah, that fucking what's his name?
Did
Anthony
Clem,
Rooney Adrian freaking
it's
Clem.
funny. Somebody was it Scarps who pointed that out?
It was Scarps.
Rooney had been hired. Wow, gosh, huh?
I'm surprised.
Yeah, Ryan
I've
messaged
never
us on
seen
Slack
anybody
and
with
was
that-
like, "Hey,
with that
guess who got
name
hired
before.
as a scouting intern?"
I mean, I don't recognize the last name, so
Yeah, I'm struggling with that one too. So Anthony would be whose kid?
I think I don't know the Rudy family tree escapes me, but Anthony. All right, so Art's. I don't remember. I've had like 9 eggnogs. I don't know.
By the way, Scarps, how young is Art's wife?
Man, what the hell is? They might be listening, man. They got me phones tapped.
Well, I'm just curious how
You know?
young she seems. Very young compared to him.
Oh man, I think they're relatively around. I don't
They are,
know.
okay.
I don't know.
It's literally the stress of owning the Steelers.
Asking the owner's wife how old she is wasn't on my top priorities.
I was just curious. Yeah. Anyway,
Man, that's a tough crowd tonight.
very tough crowd. Very tough.
Nepo
crowd.
baby.
Yeah. But as far as Tomlin down there, I mean, we're going to hear a lot of different things in terms of who he talks to, who he doesn't talk to, and and again, I would just caution people. The Steelers are going to talk to a lot of these young men. Don't forget, it's not always about those players. It's also about the players that those players have played with. They do a lot of research. They talk to guys and ask about, what's he like as a teammate? What's he like as a leader? All those kinds of things. So just because somebody reports that Tomlin and Omar Khan or whoever are talking to somebody, don't jump to the conclusion that guy is automatically on our list, because he might not be.
Nonsense. We're going to draft everybody they talk to, Mark.
Damn it.
It's funny since you brought this up. the glowing reports they got from the teammates of one Devin Bush.
Yeah.
About how he was the defensive quarterback and the unquestioned team leader.
Remember, it was Winovich. Everybody said we were drafting Chase Winovich, and they were talking to him strictly to get info on Bush.
Yeah,
and of course, Chase
Winovich productive in
Chase
this league.
Winovich,
didn't do a lot. And
well, remember too, Tomlin said that, like, when he talks to college coaches, when he goes to pro days, he's future scouting too. I remember when we drafted Bud Dupree, he said, I was at the Kentucky Pro Day last year watching somebody else. I don't know if it was a lineman or something. And he was like, and I asked the coaches, like, who am I going to watch when I'm here next year? And they were all like, Bud Dupree, watch out for this guy.
Yeah.
And like, so he does that kind of stuff too, that he's not just scouting this year's
That's
players.
a great point.
He's asking, these college guys, like, hey, who's coming down the pike that I need to be aware of?
No, it's a great point.
And I think Ryan's point that he loves this shit. He
does.
He sleeps and breathes it. He loves it.
He loves the grind, and Claude's right. I mean, the attention they were paying to Malik Willis, a lot of people thought that was the guy.
Yes.
And as it turns out, not even close.
Speaking of Bud Dupree, does anybody know who his first sack was?
Bud Dupree's first sack.
I'm gonna resist looking this up.
Joe Flacco.
No.
I don't know.
You want a hint?
Sure.
It's timely.
Tom Brady.
Yes.
No shit.
Season opener at Foxborough 2015. We lost 28-21, I believe, or 28-20.
Yes.
It was
Yeah,
very
we
good.
scored
Gronk
one
had
in
3
drunk
touchdowns.
Huh?
We
Gronk
scored
had
a
like
TD
3
late.
touchdowns in that one.
Well, it was, your typical Rob Gronkowski, just fucking Steeler killer. Honestly, one of the coolest experiences of my time there.
Was that the game that the headsets all went out?
Yep.
Every time we played there, but they
amazing.
They hoisted the banner. The Dropkick Murphys played. There were fireworks and shit, and we lost as usual. But such is life.
Scarps, what I meant to ask you earlier, did you or anybody from the PR group, did you guys ever go with Tomlin and them to any of these Senior Bowl type things, combine or any of that, or you were pretty much just stuck back in Pittsburgh?
No, usually the Senior Bowl always tied into like when we had to do like the season review and like our wrap up season stuff. We would go to the combine, and then the head PR guy would also go to owners meetings and whatnot. But Mike T was never like a guy you had to worry about saying the wrong thing or anything like that.
Yeah.
Same with Kevin or even Art. To be fair, the big three at the time, you really didn't have to worry too much about them going sort of off the rails and saying anything controversial.
No. So who did you have to worry about, Ryan? Initials AB mean anything?
No, back then he was sane. I will say this. My first week ever there was when Ben was accused of the Milledgeville stuff.
Yep.
And then only a couple months later, James Harrison posed on the cover of Men's Health with guns and
the double guns.
Said he wouldn't piss on the commissioner if he was on fire.
That was an amazing quote, by the way.
It was.
And looking back on it, I remember being like, this is extra work for me. But these guys won Super Bowls. I can let it slide.
We can slide those comments. Who cares? They win Super Bowls.
There was always some there's always some slappy that would do something stupid. I'd be like, you haven't won shit, man. Like, what are you doing? Like win something, man. Like, just fucking win something, man.
Well, there's a guy that I don't know that I've heard you talk about that I'm a little surprised I've never heard you talk about, and that's Brett Kiesel. What was he like?
I've said this many times, and I usually drink when I'm on the show, so I don't really remember if I've said it to you, but I am so grateful that I worked there when I did and left when I did, because even though the Steelers didn't win a Super Bowl when I was there, I got to go to a Super Bowl my first year.
Right.
I got to work with like literally the dudes I grew up idolizing, from those 05 and 08 teams, and including in 99. 99, absolutely loved 99. what you see is what you get. He's so down to earth. He's so humble. And I got to write a feature story about him my first year there as an intern. And we used to joke that that story got me the full-time job. But he was just awesome. And his family's so great. His wife is wonderful. All their kids are grown now. I just saw them on social the other day.
They just did another children's hospital fundraiser.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like the Shear to Beard thing. He's always at children's. He's just a goddamn good dude. Yes, Big Ben's Burger. He names all his cattle after what was it? Dick LeBull, Bull Cower.
Yep.
And I just Brett is a wonderful dude. But yeah, the other day, because I'm having a boy and I I looked at his one kid who I remember meeting him for the first time. He's maybe 2 years old. He's so grown up now. It's just crazy how shit and time flies. Anyway, but Brett Kiesel is a wonderful dude. Getting to interview him for that feature story was super cool because he's from Graybull, Wyoming, which you probably never heard of. I've got to meet some of his friends, Will and I can't remember. Oh God, the other name's drawn. He's a coach. Anyway, I'm drawing a blank. I've had some drinks. Anyway, but yes, Brett Kiesel's wonderful. Very rarely was there a person in that group that I didn't enjoy working with. Let's just say that.
Yeah, that's cool. And he's still pretty much in the Pittsburgh area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Aaron in the chat mentioned Aaron Smith. Yeah. Aaron Smith has lost a ton of weight. Have you guys seen pictures of him? He's coaching high school basketball now around here. And I don't know if he's helping out with the football team or not, but I know he's coaching high school basketball, and it's just him and Alan Faneca, those guys slimmed down a lot.
Yes,
they look nothing like they did now. Yeah. good for them.
They both got away from lifting weights altogether, changed their diets.
Yeah.
And just did a lot of cardio, biking and running.
Yeah.
And
Faneca does marathons and stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he did a marathon at least.
Yeah.
I was gonna do the Ironman. I was like, are you shitting me?
Just a quick Aaron Smith story. I just want to say, whatever. I'm going to say it anyway. So Coach Mike was who I was referring to. Mike and Will were Brett's friends. Anyway, they're great people too. But Aaron Smith, I loved Aaron Smith. I think Aaron Smith is one of the most underrated Steelers of all time.
Absolutely, yes.
Aaron was not. I say this Aaron was not in shape by any means. He was in shape, but you look at these dudes now that are just chiseled, or Aaron was just a big ass dude, right? Casey Hampton would say Ziggy Hood is weight room strong, and I'm grown ass man strong, and that's what Aaron Smith does too. And I'll never forget it.
Accurate.
Very early on, Aaron Smith gave me the nickname, and he called me Dirtbag, and but he was doing it to fuck with me. He was he treated me like I was his little brother, And I was like, Aaron, I don't work for the media. I work for the team. He's like, I know, dirtbag. He's like, I'm just fucking whatever. And I'll never forget this. He put me in a sleeper hold one time, just to fuck around. I'm not even kidding you, man. I was fucking tapping out. He wasn't even trying. And dude, I thought I saw the light. This dude was so goddamn strong. It was ridiculous. I literally was like, dude, I'm tapping. He's like, oh, dirtbag. I thought you were just playing. I'm like, no, dude. I was like, I thought you were gonna fucking kill me. He was the best. Seriously, Aaron Smith, one of the most underrated Steelers of all time.
No doubt about that. No,
he absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Honor and should get in someday.
I mean, it would be an injustice if he doesn't. One other thing too I wanted to mention, and Ben certainly remembers this guy as well. Sidney Thornton passed away this week. He was drafted a few years after Franco was, I think 77. I think Franco was 72, and then he was 5 years later. And, a nice little career in Pittsburgh, and left the game and then came back to the USFL, I think, for a year, and that was about it. But he was 68 years old. He wore 38 for the Steelers, and so he passed away this week. So salute, Sidney.
He had 10 TDs in 1979.
That's right.
Like you thinking about the fantasy football type of thing. I think he had like 700 scrimmage yards and 10 touchdowns. I mean,
he was the finisher.
What a wonderful flex option. I'm just saying,
Fantasy football in the 70s. Unreal. Okay. Before we get to Mr. Casey Kasem, any other thoughts on things from the past week? We don't need to predict anything because there's no games this week.
Yeah, just one quick point.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Huntley from the Ravens making the Pro Bowl roster.
Oh, well.
Okay. The whole controversy this week is, well, I guess Kenny Pickett must have turned it down, blah, blah. He was so much better than Huntley. Look at his stats. They're so much better. You know what? Neither one of them fucking deserved it.
No.
Kenny doesn't deserve to go to the fucking Pro Bowl. I'm sorry. And the fact that Huntley doesn't deserve it either doesn't mean that Kenny does.
Right.
I don't know why this is a topic of conversation.
Well, I think it's simply a topic because when you look at the stats, it's not even close. However, I agree with you. Neither one of them was worthy of a postseason award like this. Not when you throw more picks than you do TDs. But I mean, but this is what it's become.
It's a popularity contest.
Scarps had a really good point on Slack this week that considering they're not even playing a football game anymore, that they should just name the Pro Bowl rosters, kind of like they do the All Pros.
Yeah.
You guys were Pro Bowlers. Don't even do anything, right? It's just like, here's the guys who were on the list of Pro Bowlers, and that's that.
No more alternates, no more bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
actually, no more fan vote would make me happy. I'll be frank.
Well,
fuck the fans. Sorry, you should be able. You do not. That's what made it a popularity contest.
Mm-hmm.
Alejandro Villanueva was a Pro Bowl left tackle. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? No, he never deserved it, ever. At best, he was middling.
Right. No, that's a good example. I would be more in favor of, let's say, here's the Pro Bowl team. The NFL flies all these guys out to Vegas. They sign autographs, almost like a Comic-Con type thing. Let them talk about the season or some great stories when they, go up or pal around with different guys. I'd be much more interested in that than this Pro Bowl crap and these skills and all this other shit. But, NFL's got to do what they got to do.
Well, the skill stuff's kind of fun. I get
kids like
the home run derby is more fun than the actual All-Star game. Actually, in baseball, the best part of the All-Star game is the celebrity softball game because they jaw at each other and have a grand old time and let them go out and do the who can have the longest punt and who can throw the longest pass and all that stuff and have some fun with it. Yeah.
I don't it used to mean something, but now it's just okay, let's be real. Patrick Mahomes is clearly the Pro Bowl quarterback for the AFC, right?
Yeah.
So he gets that accolade, and then it's they ask everybody else, and they either participate or don't participate, and then it's I know we hate the Ravens or whatever, but good for Tyler Huntley, right? I'm sure they got to the point where they're all right, who can we ask that's probably able, willing, and will have some fun with it,
right.
He'll get on our social media and he'll interact, that's cool, right? But fucking name the guys. No game and just let it be. So there's you can't have can't have 100 alternates.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
We're down to our 7th fucking alternate at certain positions. It's just gotten
half the league has now made the Pro Bowl.
It's fucking ridiculous.
It's stupid.
It's not even an honor anymore.
No, I agree.
I say this every year, but what I'd really, really like to see is a coaches association all-star team named where every coach gets a vote at every position, and they can't vote for any of their own guys.
Yeah, that's kind of like high school coaches do.
I think it'd be cool. You would be looking at the guys you have to game plan against, and the guy that bothers you the most.
I
did kind of like what the NFLPA released today, that it was the votes were from the guys at their position and the guys who had to face them. So wide receivers were voted on by fellow wide receivers and cornerbacks.
I like that.
that
I
it was
like
like
that.
the guys who play the position and then the guys who play against that position. Like I like that model.
Yeah, I dig that.
And
Yeah.
no fucking fan vote.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Ryan had a point too. Sorry,
Us
Ryan, I
fans are
interrupted you.
stupid.
No, I mean, I used to have to do Pro Bowl voting, and it was the worst because it was like
Sure.
pulling teeth because you have 53 babies you have to deal with. But I always enjoyed seeing the Tomlin ballot and the Colbert ballot
Yeah.
because, like I mean, you go in a room and guys would be shouting out guys that didn't even play anymore. Like, what the fuck? Come on, guys, what the fuck? Like. Maybe Marvin Harrison. I'm like, dude, he retired. But then literally the adults in the room would be like Ryan, here you go. Be like, all right, cool. So like you actually like get to see like what Kevin and Coach would put
Right.
down, and I'd be like, okay, like these guys no ball, Sorry, I hate that
That's
expression.
funny.
If you've been following us,
Is Casey
you don't know
Kasem
ball,
ready to
that's
go
why
for
you
the
hate
night?
it.
that's why I don't know ball. That's why I hate it. It's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, Casey's around.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to turn it over to the late great Mr. Casey Kasem.
Casey's Coast to Coast American Top 40. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the week that was February 2nd, 1996.
Ooh.
Ryan for Pittsburgh is back, and he writes, Dear Casey, she's blinding, I'm flying, right behind in rear view mirror now. Got the fearing, power steering, pistons popping, ain't no stopping now. Canada, Canada, Canada. That's, of course, a parody of Van Halen's 1984 super hit Panama, which was written by lead singer David Lee Roth after he became infatuated with a car that he saw while he was in Las Vegas. I'm sure Diamond Dave didn't do anything illegal that night. Diamond Dave completely blasted out of his mind, knew all about that hot shoe burning down the avenue. Suffice to say, Matt Canada has no idea what Dave was talking about because the Steelers offensive coordinator doesn't know what a hot route is. That's right, Casey.
Wow.
Offensive coordinator Matt Canada had no hot routes built into his offense for Kenny Pickett, the Steelers' first-round quarterback and most pro-ready prospect, who, by the way, went to the University of Pittsburgh, in case you didn't know.
Don't say.
Really?
This all came to light because Steelers tight end Pat Freiermuth joined Ben Roethlisberger's podcast and talked about how simple this offense really is. It's finally good to hear a Penn State player speak up about injustices. Most of them don't see anything or stay silent. I know.
Wow.
I'm going to hell. But for real, Casey, how in the hell do you still have a job with the Steelers when you only had one good year in college? Let me be clear. I'm not talking about Kenny Pickett. Casey, it's Groundhog Day, and that's exactly what it feels like watching Matt Canada's offense. It's the same concepts week in and week out. You already know what's going to unfold before it happens. I'd much rather have Bill Murray as the offensive coordinator. At least Canada will be gone after this year. So I got that going for me, which is nice. I just don't get it, Casey. But maybe, I said maybe, he's going to be the one that saves me. After all, at Steelers headquarters, he's somebody's wonder wall. Ryan, we don't deserve you. You're in for a real treat this week. Up 3 spots to number 18. Here's Wonderwall by Oasis.
Wow.
He works in 2 of my all-time favorites, Van Halen and Caddyshack. Outstanding. Oh, my Lord. Wow. And I always thought that song was about a stripper. Huh.
No,
No, it's actually
song-
Yeah, it's
It's
about,
about a car.
I know.
If you,
but not Derek Carr, who's
Ah.
about to leave Vegas. You
Right.
know what I'm going, you know?
That's funny as shit.
and if you
That's
knew how to play
insane.
Wonderwall on guitar, you were the shit in high school.
Do you
Oh,
think
yeah?
Matt Canada knows how to play Wonderwall?
You know who I bet knows how to play Wonderwall? Todd Haley. I'll bet you Haley can strum some tunes on a guitar. He seems like a guitar guy to me. No, maybe not. All right. Okay.
I don't know. I not
By the way,
Wonderwall.
does anybody have any predictions for the Pro Bowl this weekend, the flag football?
I predict I won't be watching.
Fair enough. Same here. Yeah, but you watch though. You watch this. it will have better ratings than any of the other all-star games. Baseball, hockey, basketball.
Yeah.
It'll be better. Every year people piss and moan about it, and then it ends up getting better ratings than those do. I don't know why.
Because there's nothing else on.
Well, that could be it too, especially for us in the north where there's no reason to go outside. So
the only way they could salvage it is if they sort of made it like, well, but the Super Bowl's always at a neutral site, right? Like, like you can't say like who gets home field or what. Like that's what I'm saying. Just scrap the whole thing. It's terrible. It's awful.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm over it. Yep, send it on its way. And speaking of done, so are we on tonight's episode. Make sure you check out the website, steelcityblitz.com. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram and the Twitter at SCB_podcast and, of course, at SC Blitz. And thank you to our wonderful regulars joining us again tonight. Please, if you're interested.
Dozens of them. Dozens.
Yes.
We do appreciate you all.
We love it. More the merrier, I'm telling you. But anyway, for these guys, this is Steel Dad signing off on episode 305 of the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by Deck Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And hey, go Steelers.
Ravens suck.
Little